Epic history is zooming in. Everybody knows when epic history zooms in, that's when it gets good. Epic history TV, Napoleon Battle of Austerlitz. Let's get in it.
An Epic History TV History March collaboration, supported by our sponsor, The Great Courses Plus. In December 1804, in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French.
Wait. Did I miss something? Someone told me that after Napoleon in Egypt, this part is next. Like, because I'm reacting to the series chronologically. Am I missing something? Bro, I hope I'm not messing this up right now. Oh my gosh. Okay. But he's emperor. The last time we left off, he came back. He came back to freaking Italy. What? That was like, what, 1799, right? Or 1800, right? This is like, what, 6 years later? I think I'm in chronological order, right? I hope so. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Europe had never seen such a sudden and dramatic rise to power. A son of impoverished Corsican nobility to military dictator of France in little more than 10 years. Revolution and war had cleared Napoleon's path to the throne. War would dominate his 10-year reign. A conflict unprecedented in history that would leave millions dead and a continent in turmoil.
Austerlitz. Oh, this is gonna be heat. Everyone knows about Austerlitz. It's probably like the most mainstream pop history or whatever you call it. Okay. I expect this to be good.
Eight months after Napoleon's coronation, the French Empire and its Spanish ally were at war with Britain, and Napoleon had assembled an army of 180,000 men along the Channel coast. But as long as the British Royal Navy ruled the seas, invasion was impossible. But nor could Britain challenge France on land. And so British Prime Minister William Pitt tried to build a European coalition against Napoleon, using diplomacy and gold. Britain would prove Napoleon...
Gold! You know where that gold came from? And I explained this in my reaction. A lot of that gold came from the British Caribbean. Places like Jamaica, my country, Barbados. That's where the money maker was at, man. I explained this in my previous reactions. I don't know if he's going to talk about that. I don't know. I might explain that again here, but still. They don't tell you where that gold comes from. This is why I don't like these, like, history channels, because like, I love Epic History TV, don't get me wrong, but like, come on, man. Like, a lot of these, they'll tell you that, oh yeah, Britain had all of this money, but they don't tell you where that money comes from.
Most steadfast enemy, and its press delighted in relentless mockery of the French emperor. Britain and France were old rivals in Europe and overseas. But now, Pitt feared Napoleon's conquests had made France too powerful. The French emperor had to be defeated, and Europe's balance of power restored if there was ever to be lasting peace. Pitt found willing allies in Europe, among monarchs who despised Napoleon as a product of the French Revolution and a dangerous threat to the existing order. Austria harboured the deepest grievances, having seen her influence in Germany and Italy steadily eroded by French victories. The final straw came in...
No, bro. The downfall of Austria starting with Napoleon, fam. Yo, Austria had one of the worst downfalls, in my personal opinion. I think like the worst downfall would be Poland, like hands down Poland. No question about that. But Austria, oh bro. Oof, their downfall was just crazy, fam.
May 1804, when Napoleon had also crowned himself King of Italy in Milan. Austria, Russia, Sweden and Naples joined Britain in an alliance known as the Third Coalition.
But what happened in the second coalition? Bro, am I missing something? Because I know the second coalition that we left off in the second coalition in the last part that I did. Did Epic History not do the freaking second coalition? Or am I like reacting in it in the wrong order? Because I saw that Austerlitz is right after, like, I didn't see any other videos on the Napoleonic Wars, like, right after Egypt. Oh my gosh, bro, I would really hate to know that I'm going in the wrong order right now. If I am, correct me, because I don't want to, like, I want to do this in, like, chronological, like, in, like, a timely manner. Please correct me if I'm reacting to this in the wrong order. Or if Epic History didn't, if he didn't, like, do the second coalition, well, can't do nothing about that.
Devised an ambitious plan for a series of joint offensives against France. The main attack would be made by a combined Austro-Russian army, advancing across the Rhine into France. But Napoleon got word of their plans, and reacted with typical speed and decision. He was determined to strike first, before the Allies could join forces.
So, I actually watched a documentary about Napoleon like a long time ago, and there was this debate about whether or not he was actually going to invade Britain, or he used that as a convenient excuse to amass a large army against the Third Coalition without like raising any concern, right? At Boulogne, I think that's where he was right here, right? At Boulogne, or I don't know, European names are weird to me, but I don't know. It's a very convincing argument that Napoleon wasn't going to invade Britain. He just wanted an excuse to amass a very, very large army to deal with the Third Coalition. So, I don't know. What do you think? Tell me. Because I've had people like explain some things to me in the comments before, you know, so.
And ordered his army, now renamed La Grande Armée, to march to the River Rhine. His target was the Austrian army of General Mack, which had made a premature advance against Bavaria, a French ally, and was now dangerously isolated from the other Allied armies. Napoleon ordered Marshal Murat, his famously flamboyant cavalry commander, to make feint attacks through the Black Forest, while the rest of his army, advancing at speed, enveloped Mack's army from the north.
Oh my gosh, these ads, man. It's getting good!
That summer, Napoleon's Grande Armée was at its most formidable. Well-trained, highly motivated, its regiments at full strength. What's more, it had been newly reorganized according to the corps system, later imitated by virtually every army in the world. Each corps, commanded by a marshal, was a mini-army of 15 to 30,000 soldiers.
Bro, gee Louise, bro, imagine being so efficient that everyone copies you. Like, you know that meme? Every masterpiece has its copy. Bro, imagine being so freaking efficient, fam, that, wow, bro, Napoleon is just him, bro, honestly.
With its own infantry, cavalry, artillery, and supporting arms, such as reconnaissance, engineers, and transport. This meant each corps could march and fight for a limited time independently, allowing Napoleon to break with the old doctrine of keeping his army concentrated and advance with his corps widely dispersed. This helped to disguise his real objective and increased movement speed because the army could advance along multiple roads and live off the land, taking its supplies from scattered villages rather than relying on slow-moving supply wagons. When the enemy's main force was located, the army could quickly concentrate for battle This is how Napoleon's army was able to move at a speed that often surprised and disorientated his enemies.
You know, it makes you wonder, right? Like, was Napoleon truly a protege or prodigy? I don't know how you pronounce that word. But was he truly like a protege? Or was he simply like a product of his time? Like, well, what I'm saying is that, do you believe that somebody else, if Napoleon wasn't around, would eventually come to realize that, hey, we could do that and it'll work, right? Like, you know, like think about that for a second. Because I said it in my previous Napoleon reactions that, like, it makes you wonder, because Napoleon, a lot of his tactics revolved around cavalry, and it really made me wonder, like, was he truly a genius? Or was he, you know, like, because he just had cavalry so much, you know, like, somebody else could eventually, like, come to realize that. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, he did do a lot of genius tactics, don't get me wrong. But think about that. Tell me, what do you think?
Mack didn't realize the danger he was in until it was too late. Napoleon's fast-moving corps crossed the Danube behind him and surrounded his army. Mack launched a series of poorly coordinated counterattacks, but despite some desperate fighting, the Austrians couldn't break out of the trap. Mack hoped that Kutuzov's Russian army could arrive in time to save him, but the Russians were still 160 miles away. And so, at Ulm, on the 19th of October, just 6 weeks into the war, Mack surrendered his army to Napoleon.
6 weeks in! God damn! 6 freaking weeks, dude?
The French took nearly 60,000 Austrian prisoners, and Napoleon had struck his first devastating blow against the coalition. Russian General Mikhail Kutuzov was an experienced and wary commander, more cautious than Mack. His army was exhausted after its 900-mile march from Russia, but hearing of the Austrians' surrender at Ulm, and knowing he wasn't strong enough to face Napoleon alone, he immediately ordered a retreat. Napoleon pursued.
Bro, imagine marching 900 miles only to hear that your allies surrender and you have to tell your troops to retreat. Imagine that. Oh my gosh.
The Russians fought several sharp rearguard actions, but could not save the Austrian capital, Vienna, which the French occupied on the 12th of October. Kutuzov slipped away to Olmütz in today's Czech Republic, where he was joined by reinforcements, as well as Emperor Alexander of Russia and Emperor Francis of Austria in person. Napoleon was furious that Kutuzov had escaped. By now his army was also exhausted, and far from home with winter approaching. He needed to force a decisive battle quickly. Fortunately for him,
yeah, man. I mean, they occupy the capital, but the army is still there, you know? Like, if the army's there, the war isn't over, so.
The overconfident 27-year-old Russian emperor sought the glory of battle, overriding the concerns of his veteran commander, General Kutuzov. With the Allied army closing in, Napoleon ordered his corps to rapidly concentrate on a battlefield he had carefully selected, near the town of Austerlitz. Napoleon oversaw the dispositions of his army late into the night, then grabbed a few hours' sleep beside a campfire. Dawn would mark the first anniversary of his coronation as emperor, and promised a battle that would make or break his young empire.
Damn you! Freaking, I know it's about to get real. Okay. Epic history is zooming in. Everybody knows when epic history zooms in, that's when it gets good.
The morning of the 2nd of December 1805 was cold and bright with a heavy mist. Two armies of near equal size faced each other across a 7-mile wide battlefield. But the Allies held the high ground of the Pratzen Heights, while French Third Corps under Marshal Davout was still marching to the battlefield. Seeing Napoleon's thinly stretched right flank, the Allies planned a large-scale attack from the Pratzen Heights to steamroller the French right, before swinging round to envelop Napoleon's army. Little did they know, Napoleon was counting on his weak right wing luring the Allies into just such a move, whereupon he would launch his own attack on the Pratzen Heights to cut the Allied army in half. His bold plan relied on his correct prediction of Allied movements, the speedy arrival of Davout's Third Corps on his right, and a perfectly timed counterattack. The battle began.
Dude, if one factor goes wrong in this, holy crap. It's all over. If one factor, oh dude, that's so scary to think about, man. Think about that. That is so scary to think about.
And around 7 a.m., as Austrian troops of General Kienmayer's advance guard clashed with French troops defending the village of Telnitz. In the face of overwhelming odds, the French fought stubbornly and bravely, but gradually they were forced back. But the Allies, instead of carrying out their great enveloping attack, did nothing. The morning mist and the late arrival of orders had led to...
Like I said before, one factor goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
Confusion and delay. And it was another hour before the first 3 Allied columns were on the move. Soon, fierce fighting erupted around Sokolnitz village and castle. Marshal Davout's corps, which had just force-marched 70 miles in 2 days, now arrived to strengthen the French right wing. Around 9 a.m., his lead infantry brigade appeared suddenly through the mist and retook Telnitz, before being driven back in turn by Austrian hussars. 2 more of Davout's brigades reinforced French troops at Sokolnitz. As the mist began to clear, Napoleon saw that, as he'd hoped, the Allied left was moving off the Pratzen Heights, and he ordered...
But if you were the Allies, bro, wouldn't you realize that this would threaten, like, keeping your center right here with all of this right here? Wouldn't, like, moving to the flank be a very bad idea? Like, you see what I'm talking about? Like, look at this. I don't know. Why would they do this plan? I don't know if I'm, like, using hindsight or the fact that I knew what Napoleon's plans were. But still, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, you have this right here. Like, shouldn't someone with common sense just look and be like, hey, what if Napoleon just throws everything at us right down here, cutting them off, and then these guys are cut off? You know what I'm saying, right? Like, you see, I don't know, man. I'm, like, terrible at explaining things.
Marshal Soult's 4th Corps to begin its attack. To the alarm of Allied commanders, 2 French infantry divisions, until now hidden by the mist, were suddenly seen advancing straight towards the Allied center.
Oh, they were hidden by the mist. Oh.
General Kutuzov was forced to hurriedly organize a defense of the heights, using troops of 4 column. 2 hours of bloody fighting followed. Musket fire was so rapid and furious that both sides were soon low on ammunition and turned to the bayonet.
God, damn, I can only imagine the freaking bayonet battles that were freaking happening, man.
By 11 a.m., the French, with the advantage in training and discipline, had secured the heights and driven a deep wedge into the Allied position. To the north, a giant cavalry battle developed. While a Russian force from General Bagration's advance guard captured the village of Bosenitz before it was halted by cannon fire from the Santon Hill. A decisive charge by 6 regiments of French heavy cavalry finally drove back the Allies, allowing Marshal Lannes' 5 Corps to move forward and seize Blasowitz and Krug. Now, Grand Duke Constantine, commanding the Russian Imperial Guard, led forward this last Allied reserve in a desperate bid to reclaim the Pratzen Heights. A battalion of the French 4th Line Regiment was charged down by Russian Guard cavalry, losing its Eagle standard in bloody fighting.
Woo! Oh, freaking hell, oh, dude, this is, like, I'm not saying anything, but, like, this has me, like, tense right now, bro. Holy crap.
Napoleon, who'd moved up to the heights, sent in his own Guard cavalry. In this grim melee between the elite horsemen of both armies,
Yo, elite horsemen versus elite horsemen. Which one is better? Let's see.
The French finally prevailed.
Well, the French proved themselves to be superior again.
Napoleon had broken the Allied centre. Now, to close the trap on the Allied left wing, still locked in heavy fighting around Sokolnitz. Around 2 p.m, Napoleon ordered 4 divisions to swing south and cut off their retreat. General Buxhowden, commanding the Allied left, only now saw the danger he was in. Attacked.
Big yikes, man. Big yikes. Oh my gosh. Big yikes. God damn, man.
From three sides, the only escape was south. Many of his troops were forced to flee across frozen ponds. French artillery opened fire, trying to smash the ice with their cannonballs. About 200 men.
Oh, so this is where that infamous, I heard about that infamous thing where Napoleon was this where that infamous, like, you know, where the cannons hitting the ice and the troops were falling through? Is that where that came from, right? You should know what I'm talking about, because it's like one of the most, like, pop history things that everyone, like, who knows pop history should know that. I don't know if it's from this or when he invaded Russia. I don't know. Tell me.
And dozens of horses drowned in the freezing water. But not the many thousands of Napoleon's propaganda.
Okay, so this was it. Okay, still though, 200 is a lot.
The French Emperor had won a brilliant victory. His army had taken more than 10,000 prisoners and captured 45 enemy standards.
Okay, so someone please tell me, like, what is so important about standards, right? Like, what is so important about them? I would like someone to explain that to me. Like, I know that, you know, they have symbolism, but still, I don't understand, like, what is the whole point of standards and what were they used for? Because I keep on hearing that, oh yeah, this person took that standard. Like, what is so, like, great, you know, what is the importance of them? I want to know that.
Thousands of dead and wounded of all sides littered the battlefield. Many left untended for days. The Battle of the Three Emperors, as it became known, was a crushing blow to the Third Coalition. As Russian forces retreated back to Russia, Francis I of Austria was forced to accept a humiliating settlement with France, agreeing to pay a 40 million franc indemnity and give up more territory in exchange for peace. But meanwhile, news had reached Napoleon of a disastrous Franco-Spanish defeat at sea off Cape Trafalgar.
Trafalgar! Let's see what he says about this.
British Admiral Lord Nelson, at the cost of his own life.
Why, yes, Epic History TV. He calls him Lord Nelson just like me too. I think the guy who narrates this is also British himself, so it makes sense why he calls him Lord Nelson. Yes. Lord Nelson at his sacrifice that saved my country from becoming French, something that we did not want.
Had masterminded a victory so complete that it ensured British naval dominance, not just for the rest of the war, but for the next 100 years.
What was that called? Pax Britannica, right?
Britain, master of the sea. Napoleon, unbeatable on land. The whale and the elephant, neither able to challenge the other in its own domain. When William Pitt received news of Napoleon's victory at Austerlitz, he's supposed to have said, "Roll up that map of Europe. It will not be wanted these 10 years. A month later...
He's not wrong. He's not wrong, fam.
Later, Pitt was dead. But his warning that Europe faced another 10 years of...
Wait, how did he die? What? How did he die?
...of war and upheaval was to prove prophetic. Napoleon Bonaparte was the ultimate disruptor of European history.
Alright, so, like I said, this is gonna be a sponsor. I'm too poor. I say this in all my reactions. Anyways, I'm gonna be reacting to more Napoleonic wars in chronological order, so make sure to subscribe if you love my Napoleon reactions. Check out these videos that are appearing on your screen right now. If not, go and check my channel for other reactions that you might like, and thank you for watching.